And I think we are live.
Yo.
Say something again.
Yo.
Got you in there. Dope. What up, though, people? This is your boy Brandon Den, aka Detroit Kool-Aid. Look who we got, man. Mr. Everything here, Jeff Iafredi. We're gonna talk about some interesting
Well, the shades
things.
come on. It just got real. No,
Let's go.
It's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m., Brandon.
Oh,
but I
man.
need that energy this morning. I do.
Let's rock, man. We got some interesting things that we want to talk about. But as always, when we get Jeff Iafredi on, sometimes I just want Jeff Iafredi to talk, man. We got Dillon Brooks on the topics. We got Cade Cunningham. We got Jay and Ivey, Scoot Henderson, and what they could be. We got the coaching search update, and then whatever is just in the mind of Jeff Iafredi, man. Also, just at the beginning here, you guys see this here, Jeff and Gentry. Whenever you can, definitely tap in.
Yes, sir.
Support them. You guys heard me talk about Jeff and Gentry this morning on the Woodward Pistons podcast with Rod Beard. I need you all to support. Definitely some great content going on. But Jeff, where are we starting, bro?
We'll start with Dillon Brooks. Let's just can we just address the elephant in the room? Well, number one, I appreciate you, by the way, Brandon, for everything. And Jeff and Gentry, you could check them out. Jeff and Gentry, check us out rather. Jeff and Gentry show on YouTube. But Dillon Brooks, man, and this isn't even related to LeBron, because if you guys know me, you know how I feel about LeBron. All right, I'm a big LeBron guy. I'm a LeBron defender. I simply respect greatness. That's what I would say. But Dillon Brooks, this has nothing to do with LeBron. I have been against Dillon Brooks, not just on the Pistons, but just in general. He's been one of the most frustrating players, I think, to at least keep up on over the last couple of years for a lot of reasons. I mean, it comes from, me simply just never respecting guys that listen. I get why people say, well, villains, I love villains, and villains can be entertaining. But when you're a villain who's shooting 39% from the field,
playoff flame out,
and you can't even shoot 30%. He didn't even clear 40 in the playoffs as well. And you're talking all that trash, talking about, I want to see the Lakers. LeBron's going to have to put up 40 on me. Like, Dillon Brooks, you needed this slice of humble pie. Like, this man needed it. And the fact that it was reported yesterday, which I loved how it was worded too. Shams tweeted this. The Memphis Grizzlies will not be bringing back Dillon Brooks, quote, under any circumstances.
There we go.
You know what that means, by the way? You know what that means? Like,
bruh,
he could say, can I play for $1? Can I play for $1? And the Grizzlies would say, no, we're okay. And again, I feel like that move, telling Dillon Brooks to, kick rocks is partially a PR move, because let's be honest, the Grizzlies with the Ja Morant stuff and just the culture the Grizzlies have. And again, Ja Morant, it's also Ja. It's not all Dillon Brooks. Ja Morant saying I'm fine in the West. Like, that's embarrassing. And I think Dillon Brooks, that departure needed to happen. No, I don't want him on the Pistons. Not even because of what he brings attitude-wise. He's not even like people get frustrated.
Jeff didn't even let me get to that question.
No, people get frustrated, man, with Saddiq Bey. Okay, Saddiq Bey, because he's an inefficient shooter. He's somebody streaky, and you want Dillon Brooks? No. So no way in hell. Like Rob Parker says, no way, no how. There's no way in hell that I want Dillon Brooks on the Pistons, and I think that conversation needs to end before it even starts. So we'll get that out of the way. Yeah, Dillon Brooks, you can kick rocks.
We didn't even get Shadow yet to ask him the question. Jeff said,
and I'm sure, and I'm sure Sean will agree with me there. Like that.
We'll ask him out of respect, give him his say so. We will do that. But yeah, you know what? It's interesting because we're working behind the scenes to make this kind of platform work. Get you and Rod back on the same streams again. There we go. And it's interesting though, because whether we're agreeing, whether we're disagreeing, the thought processes generally are something that we can all understand. But if this one, shout out to Ryan, man. But with this one, we've all kind of been in the same line of thought process. Like even Rod, he was like, man, under no circumstance, like they don't want this man for free. And we tried, we went through the process of what are the pros, what are the cons. When you were talking about Dillon Brooks, I asked Rod just specifically, man, give me the pros because we know it. And he went through, he's like, well, can he be Lance Stevenson? Can he be an all-time instigator? We're not talking about talent. Can he be an instigator that makes a difference? Can he be Patrick Beverly, somebody who we've talked about on this show and on this platform multiple times? Can he be that? And when we sat there and he started saying, we talked about the regular season, we got into the hype. I see my man is on, so we got to get the come on.
Yeah, Sean, I'm so glad you're here, my man. Because again, I just addressed the whole Dillon Brooks thing, and
I'm sorry. Jeff is gonna kill me, bro.
First of all, did I see Kool-Aid start this stream with the freaking Dillon Brooks thing where they party like this? Did I have to witness my
improv Sean
doing
Jeff
that?
is gonna kill me.
Colors?
Sean is about to roast me.
Sean, would we agree, Sean? You're not touching Dillon Brooks with a 30-foot pole.
I ain't touching him with a 50-foot pole, but no. But like here's the thing with Dillon Brooks, because I think it's important to look at the context of why. It's not just the bad play. It's not just the chirping with LeBron and then not showing up in the media. It's not just because he didn't look great in this past playoff series. It's because of the culture that's built in Memphis, or lack thereof. It's the issues that are happening in the locker room. It's the fact that this team at one point earlier in the year did look like a legitimate title contender, and then just through their chirping and through their immature behavior worked themselves out of that position. And so Dillon Brooks was a big part of that culture deteriorating. And if there were reports coming out about Dillon Brooks saying he wants to go to a young team and prove himself and help cultivate a leadership role in a locker room, that's one thing. But when reports are coming out saying that Dillon Brooks wants an extended offensive role, that's where I go, no, God, please, no, never, please, never in my life do I want that in a Pistons uniform. It's just the reality of the fact that this is a guy who this past season shot 39% from the field, 32% from three. He's not necessarily efficient. He's not necessarily offense is just not his proficiency. There's points where he's been reliable on that end, but listen, if we're going to bring in a guy and, pay him, whatever Dillon Brooks is going to command, we got to get production and we got to make sure he's not a distraction. And Dillon Brooks, does not provide the positive on either of those things.
You said it at the end, distraction. He cannot be a distraction. And now, Rod and I, we actually went about and bantied the aspects of, what is it going to cost? What is it going to be? If you brought in a Dillon Brooks, and we both said we probably wouldn't give him more than we would even think about giving Killian. Like Rod said, right now he's on 3 for $35 million. He's not giving that man more, north of 8. And he's like, I would talk that down to 6 and tell him this is your prove it year. If you can't do it here, you're not getting anything else. And that was underneath the circumstance of finding the pros. This wasn't underneath the circumstance. D-Mac.
Legend.
Camera setup. But, it was underneath those types of guys. It's like, if this were to happen, what can he provide? And you're right. It's the distraction of it all. He made himself bigger than the team. It would be different. You wouldn't know if the team was the one who pushed Dillon Brooks to be I'm poking the bears. Look at my DB chain. I'm walking. No, that was Dillon Brooks pushing his free agency agenda. And it would have worked if it wasn't for those pesky LA Lakers and LeBron James. He was tricking people. I told Rod, we were getting into the hype of it all. I saw the meme, I'm starting to like bro, and the team was getting into it. And it's like, it worked for a while. But they're looking for you to back that type of stuff up. And on a squad like this, with the young players that we have, we can't have the playable vets, the vets that we're talking about. They don't need the Rodney McGruder and Kojo vets. They need the 27, 28-year-old vets that they tried to turn Hamidou Diallo into, that can make a difference on the court and not be a distraction. I'm so glad you brought that word up. Right. And Jeff, and he was just like, I will address this just because, but I don't really want to because it makes no sense. Right. And that's why I'm glad we're all there. We can deal with it on a professional sense and say, okay, he's an NBA player. If you were going to put him in a container, this is what it would be, but not on my Pistons, bro.
Right. No. And people and I understand people could go to the fact of, well, he's a bad boy, or he has that type of, play where he fits that old school Pistons type of mentality. And it's like, well, the reality of it is the Pistons weren't that team wasn't primarily a dirty team. They went out to play hoops and play hoops hard. And, I just, again, just with everything that's happened, just where he's at in his career, I just don't think it's a good fit.
Not at all.
No, not at all. And even the antics, like I can understand if you're doing those antics and you're producing, but again, like the antics, you talk about if they would have beat the Lakers. Can we just discuss if Dillon Brooks can make a shot? I think that would have also helped his own case. This has nothing to do with the Lakers. It's Dillon Brooks. You couldn't hit the side of a barn. So like that's the problem with Dillon Brooks. And again, for somebody to come into a young team like that, like to bring the wrong type of attention, like I don't even know how people can make an argument you want Dillon Brooks.
Right.
Like it like Sean, when you sent me the tweet, and it was that, and I give credit to you because I didn't know about the tweet till you sent it to me. When they like the fact that the tweet
any circumstances,
any circumstance, that's like the biggest red flag there is. Like I just told Brandon he could have said, "I'll play for $1." And they would have said, "Get lost."
No way.
That was a message that was a message to the league. That was a message to the team. That was a big red beacon that said, we're not letting this fly anymore. And, like we only see about 1/10 of what actually happens in a locker room or like what's actually going on within the team dynamics. But I mean, listen, when you have to be answering questions about your 4th best player in your starting 5 all throughout a playoff series, when Ja Morant has to sit there after every single game and talk less about basketball and talk more about the antics of Dillon Brooks, I mean, you're in a series, that's just a genuine issue. And, we just don't want to bring that type of attention in especially when I would say this is probably the most delicate stage of the Pistons rebuild, because you have a lot of talent and guys that you believe can take that next step. But if you bring in guys who, are not the influence that you want, who are going to, teach bad habits, who aren't going to, show you what it means to be a pro, because that's the reality of it. Dillon Brooks just hasn't been a pro. So
yeah,
that's
I mean,
just my opinion.
You know what being a pro is too, when you talk trash, you don't play well, and you don't go see the media right after a game. Like that's the type of a guy that I don't want grooming any of these young players.
Nope.
Like that is ridiculous. So yeah, we can move on from that discussion. Big no from all three of us here.
Yeah, we only carried it out. We were like, we need to be fair to Sean Murphy and make sure he can give his apt answer. And Jeff was like, yeah, we'll make sure you can answer. But
it's like we all just have to explain why it's no. It's not even like yes ever answers the equation. It's just, why is this a terrible idea?
Why is this a terrible idea? I like the way you put that, man. But look, we wanted to talk about a couple different things here. Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham backcourt, as well as the implication of if Scoot Henderson or Scoot Henny was added to this roster as well. Sean, man, I'll start with you as it relates to Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, and what we were able to see from them, what we know of Cade Cunningham, and what you're looking forward to with this backcourt. But I also want to put this wrinkle: what needs to happen for this backcourt to succeed?
Well, first of all, I think, the thing that this backcourt needs to succeed is time. And I think, I think this season, especially, it's going to be a trial and error run. But I think the reality of it is, I think once you saw the glimpses of Cade and Ivey as far as their relationship, their communication, their clear desire to want to make it work, because you don't always get that from young backcourts. There's always, there can always be an underlying competitive nature between the two. But the reality of it is these two guys clearly want to play together. And I think a lot of the things that we needed to see about whether or not these two could fit together came from, a lot of aspects of Jaden Ivey's game. Because, quite frankly, I don't think any of us have questions about Cade Cunningham and what he can do and who he can fit by, because I mean, he's literally the perfect basketball player to have on your team as far as a teammate. But with Jaden Ivey, it was, how can his 3-point shot develop? How can his playmaking be? How, can he play off the ball? And I think if you saw anything from, Jaden Ivey's rookie year and the evolution that he had, was how much more comfortable he got in the mid range as the season went on, how much more comfortable he got, from his 3-point shot as the season went on. Jack Kelly, I think, did a good thread of just showcasing like some of the, statistics about how Ivey was a different player from day one versus game 82, and like some things in particular. Ivey was really effective at shooting threes off the screens. He was really good at catch and shoot threes on the perimeter. So I think with Cade and Ivey being able to open up so many opportunities for each other, but also just Ivey's maturity as a playmaker as well. We thought he could be, he could be a pretty good playmaker coming into the league, but like this guy's a damn good playmaker. Like by the end of the year, like this guy was
That's when
flat out manipulating defenses. So, it's just that, quite frankly, it's those types of complementary skills that really kind of telegraph whether or not those types of guards can play together. And I think, especially with Ivey and Cade's length, their versatility on both sides of the court, I think it makes it a really, really good fit. And I'm just excited to see it. It just needs time. They just need to be on the court together.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they're so different actually helps the case that they can play together. Like that Cade is super unselfish. There's a reason why you call him the connector with his play style. And again, if he played a very different type of if he had a different type of play style, more so, a little more selfish, I think that would be more of an awkward fit. But I think Cade and Jaden, both of their play styles blend really well together. And the fact that, Jaden Ivey is gifted of a playmaker as he is, like some would argue, well, you got to find ways to get both those guys to basketball. Oh, absolutely. You will be able to. Like, that is not my concern. I mean, especially when Cade's off the floor, the fact you have Ivey in the game, that could be a legitimate threat, not only scoring the basketball, but what he can do setting up his teammates. I mean, I love the fit. So I think Sean kind of nailed all the points, but Cade, the way Cade approaches and the way Cade plays basketball, I think that's going to benefit Ivey and vice versa.
And I think
they're great for each other.
And I think another thing as well that's kind of an underrated aspect is that it kind of gives you different flavors and different varieties, and you can kind of make different adjustments. Like for example, the Denver Nuggets, I placed a bet on them yesterday to win the title because in my opinion they're the most versatile team left in the playoffs. And one of the big things about them is they can change their play style if needed. They can put Jokic on the bench. They can bring in a small ball five. They can go big. They have a lot of different guys who can defend at different positions. And when you can adjust your play style and, with Cade and Ivey, they both can run the offense in completely different ways. Ivey can bring a lot more explosiveness and burst, and Cade can be really methodical and, tear apart a defense. So I think the fact that, you have those options, you can change it up in a lot of different ways. Like, I think that's another thing that would just make that just makes that backcourt so tantalizing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I love the aspects of Jaden Ivey that we've seen this year because it did answer a lot of the questions, like you guys have said. I know that to start off our draft coverage series last year, we heard a lot of the drawbacks against Jaden Ivey and instantly went to, and this was the term or the phrase of last summer that Jeff brought up, what were they asked to do? Was Jaden Ivey asked to do any of the things that we say are questions or our drawbacks?
Right.
And then he came into the season and said, you guys had questions about three-point shooting? I'm going to not only make threes at a good clip, but I'm going to do it with volume. You guys have questions about my playmaking? I'm the best one in the class. I'm the best playmaker in the class by a long shot, realistically. These are the things that Jaden Ivey came in right away. Two of the biggest things. And then we started to kind of push up this notion of mid-range because people said when he gets there, he can't do nothing. People were saying, I remember one person said it looked like he was playing shot put when he would get into the mid-range. We saw this guy go and answer all those questions. And you know what it really remarked on? How cheesy is it when he's a son of a coach? But then how validating is it when you see him improve, when you see him be able to take criticism, when you see him be able to step forward.
He's coachable.
Very coachable. And beyond that, being able to go and say mid-season, he might have, to me, I'm not going to ever tell him, don't think these ways. He was not the sole reason why this team was losing. His defense was not the sole reason why this team was losing games. It was not. But he felt that. He said, you know what? I went to Coach B about midway through the season, and I told him this. I need to get my defense better. And he specifically called out, man-to-man defense, lockdown defense, as well as other aspects of defense that he wants to get better at. And I thought that was very, very mature of him. When we're talking about time, I think that works both ways. They don't have a lot of time to waste, but they do have to get their time in together. And knowing that we have these two high IQ basketball players who are doing everything to get better from a basketball and a professional sense, but also from a personal sense.
Right.
we can relate to that, man. We know that we're going to bring our best on this show. We're going to try and bring our best to this content. But we also understand who we're doing this with and for. Our
Right.
observers and the people that we do this stuff for and with, we connect with. And then what we do together, this matters. And I see that out of Jay and Ivy and Cade Cunningham. These guys want to be great for the city, for the fans, for each other, for themselves, and for what it means professionally. And that's, I think, what stood out the most from Jay and Ivy this season out of anything else.
I think, and as great as, we talked a lot about Memphis, as great as a guy like John Morant is, I'll take Jaden Ivey every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because like a big difference to me is you look at John Morant when
That's
they're
high
on the
praise,
brink of
bro.
when they're on the brink of elimination, 5 minutes to go, they're down by 40. All you can see on the bench is him laughing and joking around with teammates and just, vibing, kind of looking like, well, I got paid, I'm good, and
Ivy would be
with
heated.
Jaden Ivey, his rookie season, games that, he knew were largely for development. He knew were largely, the team wasn't looking at wins and losses. Like Ivy looked physically ill every single night that they lost. And especially like those particular moments, like when he called the timeout, when he didn't have the timeout. And then like you bring up like those like defensive errors, like he took those personally and only went and worked even harder after that. So I think, you look at those, like, yes, like like John Morant is like an absolute revelation on the court, but like, it's those interpersonal, those little things that like tell like what these players really can be over the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. So obviously this is something that I think we all believe in, but I wanted to kind of ask this little wrinkle as well. With our belief in Jay and Ivy and Cade Cunningham, do you believe that there's any aspect of us overrating these players? Going into next season, I'm not necessarily expecting this team to be one that is making the play-in tournament, though I do believe that it's a team that if the talent works the right way, not even if the picks or if the free agency is done the right way, they have holes. But I do believe in the talent on the squad that if it all worked the right way, if Cade Cunningham is who we say he is, if Jaden Ivey is who we think he is, and if Jalen Duren and these guys take a good solid step forward, I do believe that this team has the ingredients to compete for a play-in. That doesn't mean I believe that they're going to make it. I do
Right.
believe
And
that this team, huh?
And I think you did a really good qualifier there, because I think it's, I went, because to answer your question, Kool-Aid, I think a lot of it comes down to, are we overrating it? Well, it comes down to what are your expectations, right? Because I think, you like every fan looks at this team and goes, man, these guys are extremely talented. But right after draft night last year, people were saying playoffs. And it's like, hold on, guys. The goal should be play in. And,
Right.
as much as we believe in, in Cade and Ivy and whatever additions we can make, even if we go get Wemby and then another star this offseason.
You mean when we go get Wemby?
The basketball gods do not listen to him.
All right, look, bro, I just knocked on wood.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Every single one at home, if you're listening, please collectively knock on wood. 1, 2, 3, knock. Here we go. Anyway, but like even if we were to get Wemby and let's say Jaylen Brown, a realistic, like they wouldn't be finals contenders right away. That would be like, let's go maybe get the 6th seed, right? Like the reality of it is there is so much depth in these conferences. And again, De'Aaron Fox, it took him till year 7 to get to the playoffs. Like there's guys that have a lot of talent and it just takes a long time. So I think the reality of it is like we know these ceilings are super high on these guys. It's just, let's remember, like we're going to be better next year. That doesn't mean we're going to be, hosting a home playoff series. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad that those qualifiers are out there, Jeff. I want to be able to get your take on it too. But I like the notion should be that this squad came into this year stating that they wanted to take the right steps forward to be playing. These are words that they're saying themselves, and as beat coverage, we want to make sure that we're aptly and responsibly reporting that. This team believes that their standards should be that they're making the play-in tournament next year, or that they're at least competing for it. That's what they are saying. I do believe that with the right parts, with the right pieces, that Troy Weaver can help move this team closer to that being a reality, to the point that if they don't make it, it feels like a disappointment. I do believe that.
Yep.
But those moves are still to be seen. We got to see where this team is going to land. We got to see what moves specifically are being made. And if they can nail down what we've been screaming for well over a year, I remember when people were laughing when we were pulling out the Jeremy Grant posters. We were bringing up a lot of the aspects of how big of a loss this is going to be. And people, when we got Bowen, I said, no, we flipped exactly what we needed. We got a guy who's going to be better for us on offense. We don't really need the aspect of defense that he brings. And then we saw, actually, we need exactly what he brought. And then did we forget 36% shooting from three? That one always boggles my mind when I hear that Jeremy Grant didn't shoot well or he was a ball stopper. There were things to do better.
Well, you know what it really was, Kool-Aid? People were just mad that when Cade came right in after his injury, right at the beginning of his rookie year, they were just mad that they didn't just let Cade shoot 30 shots a night right away. Yes, like I get that you don't want to see Jeremy Grant be like the number one scoring option on that team, but like the reality of it is like Kool-Aid and I and like Jeff, you and I even, we were all like, all right, cool. Like, how are you going to replace Jeremy Grant? And it's like, I'm sorry, what's that? It's like we were talking about like last year, like if they were going to make the play in, they were going to have to do it by committee. Guys like Sadiq Bey were going to have to take a big step on that end. Even guys like Marvin Bagley were going to have to take a step on that end. Like it was going to have to be by committee. And the reality of it is we saw they didn't have the personnel. We saw they didn't have the health. And, you know, let's be honest, like you said, Kool-Aid, it's like, you can't just replace a guy like that overnight.
You can't.
No, you can't. And I'm going to head out in a little bit just because I got to make sure I got to get back to my duties. But I want to address this because you brought up a great point and expectations for this season. Although it's super early, you know, we don't even know hell where they're going to land in the lottery. We don't know what they're going to do in free agency. But my way too early expectations to me with a new head coach, it should be play in. Like, again, the whole idea of challenging for a play-in, I think that gives a leeway for accepting not making the play-in. It should be disappointment. It should be frustration if you don't make a play-in. Because in my opinion, with where the Pistons have been, now given they have to be healthy. I think that's the asterisk I'm putting on that. Because of course, if Cade goes down or something like that, then of course things change. But if they're healthy and you have a Victor Wembanyama or hell, even a Brandon Miller, and you have a pretty good offseason and you address the holes you mentioned on this team, you get two-way wings that can shoot, whatever it is, then yes, I think the play-in's realistic because even Orlando this year, I know Orlando has a lot more depth. They even were at least competing for the play-in. So I think the Pistons need to be in that position now. If they don't make it, will I be upset? No, because again, at least they're taking the right steps. So I can't say it would be a failure of a season, but I'd be disappointed. I think I would if they didn't make the play-in because it's important. If you have a team that, you know, for the first, I guess for Cade specifically, his first 3 years, and I know his second year, he was unavailable for most of it. But if you end those 3 years with missing the play-in every single year, and not even just missing the play-in, by the way, having a top 5 pick, like that obviously can't happen. So the steps, I would say 35 to 40 wins this year should be the goal. And I think they can do that given now Cade will be in year 3. You'd have Ivey in year 2. And like Sean made a great point, it's not just those guys. Like you need others to take significant steps too. Like you need a Duran to look better, which I assume he will, by the way. James Wiseman. Like these guys are all going to have to be big contributors. And on top of that, you got to hit on the right head coach. I think that has to be stated as well. I mean, you can't go out there. If he's the right guy, then yes, I think the plan should be a realistic goal. And if they do that, then they're primed that following season to, all right, guys, we got guys going into year 4. We got guys going into year 3. Like this is where now we say we're a playoff team. And if we don't make the playoffs, now then it's a disappointment. So I think they're on the right track. But again, they have a busy summer ahead of them. Troy's going to have to make some like significant decisions, not just drafting Cade 1, but getting the head coach right, wherever they're picking in the lottery, hitting on that pick, finding the right fits in free agency. Like there's a lot of things Troy's going to have to do, which again, I trust Troy to do that. But the decisions made this summer will tell what they're going to do this year and for the following years to come. So it's a busy summer, man.
And if you're looking for a league comp, as far as like for expectations of the steps this team should take, I think you look at a team like the Thunder of this past year, who were able to, take the team, the players that they had within their system. And, even without Chet, they were able to take that next step because of the young talent. And, even if they didn't make it through the play-in tournament, they still got to the play-in game and they had a hell of a performance. And,
absolutely.
And that's something to build off of.
Yep. Great commentary. And honestly, I love doing this stuff. You guys listen, we got some new content that's on the way. It's still in the works and still planning. But you're going to see a lot of Jeff, Sean, and I finally getting this Woodward Pistons show of things off the ground. And honestly, when that stabilizes, you're going to be seeing our faces a couple times a week here, as well as some other content that kind of pushes us out We're gonna be having fun. We're gonna be breaking down the game. We're gonna be family. We're gonna have some behind the scenes stuff as well. Definitely tap in on May 20th.
Yeah.
But I love what's going on right
Be
now
there.
with the guys, and this stuff is just kind of confirmation of that. And I'm getting people saying, "Man, yo, you guys' chemistry is dope." So I appreciate you all. I appreciate the observers. Definitely hit the like button and subscribe because we got a lot on the way. Some exclusives that are going to be hitting the Woodward Sports website as well with yours truly. You see him over there, Mr. Sean Murphy. We're gonna be fooling Mr. Everything and myself, and I can't be. I'm ecstatic, man. I'm ecstatic. But before we let Mr. Everything go here, you got to talk to me about Scoot Henny, Mr. Henderson, bro. Scoot Henderson is starting to kind of be something where people are going back and forth on who is the number 2 prospect.
Right.
I know you've been a big Brandon Miller guy. Talk to me about Scoot.
Well, there's not. Listen, I'm not going to sit in here and say anything bad about Scoot. I think there's a lot of things to like about Scoot Henderson. I think we can all agree there. We mentioned this on From Half Court, which you can go check that out already. The podcast drops today, and we mentioned this too with Scoot. Is it BPA or is it fit? And we would all agree that the Pistons aren't in a position to draft on fit. It's about best player available. Now, the question I have though, if you take Scoot, and one thing that I'm going to keep pushing for is when you have 2 dynamic ball handlers that can set teammates up that are very different in which ways, like for Ivey, his speed, his athleticism, his ability to attack the basket, what he can do in transition. And then there's Cade, the Swiss Army knife, what he can do in the half court sets in breaking down defenses. Like I want the ball in both of those guys' hands. I want it to stay in those guys' hands. And that's the part I struggle with because I agree that the Pistons should go BPA. And of course, if you want to say, well, draft Scoot and whoever's the worst player, see you later, trade him for a star and we'll keep Scoot. I get that philosophy. But for me, if you're sitting there at 2 or 3, at 3, it'd be much easier because we would assume that, maybe Scoot would go 2 most likely. But if let's say you're at 2 and Troy's going to have to make a decision, the whole point I love Cade at point guard, the reason why I love Cade is because of what he brings in terms of advantages, guarding other point guards, being 6'6", having versatility to your point. Once you move Cade to the 3, he loses that advantage he naturally has at the 1. Again, I think he can still play. I think Cade is good enough to play multiple positions, but ideally, I'd like him to stay at point guard and have him and Ivey as the backcourt. That's my hesitancy with Scoot. It has nothing to do with his talent. It's more so the fit, especially this year if you're looking to make a play-in run or land a play-in spot. So for me, I'm still on. There's a lot of guys I like. Clearly, Victor's number 1. We'd all agree there. But Brandon Miller would love that fit. There's other guys I love the fit. But I struggle with it, if I'm being honest with you guys. And we hit on it too, Sean, but the whole BPA versus fit.
Right.
Well,
you could also make, and I think you could make an argument real quick, Jeff, that Brandon Miller could also be the BPA as well.
True.
I think that's part of why this conversation is getting so complicated is because Brandon Miller played himself into the conversation. Like, let's not take anything away from that. But the question is, do you go for what Brandon Miller could be? Or do you go for what Scoot Henderson will be? Does that make sense? I think Scoot might be more the surefire thing.
And Sean, I think I could even go as far to say, and I'm a big Brandon Miller guy, but if we're talking ceiling, like Scoot's ceiling is, I think we can agree on what he can be in the league is higher than Brandon. Now, you make a great point because I've seen boards with Brandon Miller as the second best player. So just say if you draft him 2, it's not only fit. I mean, it would be Troy also believing that, hey, this kid could be the second best player of the draft. So there's a lot of points to go either way with it. That's why I love the discussion.
Yeah. The question is, just in a bubble, where is he on Troy's board? That's where I'd be
curious.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And we're going to have some shows as well where we start to dissect what is Troy Weaver's big board. See how close we can get to that.
We just found out Wiseman was the number 1 player on his big board years ago. So no one knows until it's years later.
Yep. Yeah, nobody. Hey, shout out to a lot of the regulars in the chat. Shout out Jalen.
One
of our Table Talk members. He's also going to be helping out with a lot of our live events and things of that nature. Yo, it's a great addition, man. Great addition. He's going to be rolling with us on May 20th to Ashton's 3-on-3 tournament. Shout out to Ashton Bennings, a.k.a. Ashton the trainer, and Cannon Cunningham, brother of Cade Cunningham. Those guys are putting it on for the city. May 20th. Definitely check the socials. They have the sign-up form for their 3-on-3 tournament presented by Rank Management. It's going to be a heck of an event, and we want to see you guys out there. Please come on out, rock with us. Miss Everything's going to be there.
Yes, sir.
Sean Murphy's going to be there. Detroit Kool-Aid. Jalen's already confirmed. We're going to have some others there. I'm going to put it up there. Is that there we go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean.
Absolutely.
Yes,
It's gonna
sir.
be
And
in.
that's
It's
some more
gonna.
information that we could sign up. Do you want to say anything about it, Sean or Jeff?
Sean, well, actually, I gotta head out. I'm gonna let Sean. I trust Sean to take the lead on this, but I will be there. I can't wait. It's gonna be exciting. Just to be mingling with everyone, networking, meeting people that tune in, that are fans of the Pistons. It's gonna be exciting, man. I can't wait for it. But appreciate you guys, Sean, my guy.
Jeff,
Brandon,
you beautiful
appreciate
bastard.
you, my guys, man. I appreciate you all.
Jeff,
right.
the beautiful bastard. Yeah, man. No, it's I mean, $1,000 prize for everyone that wins, in addition to a Cade Cunningham autographed jersey. Pistons players will be in the boarding. It will be in the building, not the boarding.
We the Borf, baby.
Yeah. Sada Baby is going to be in the we the Borth, gosh dang it. Sada Baby's gonna be in the building as well. So I mean, listen, man, it's gonna be a great time. I mean, shout out, yeah, like you said, shout out to Ash and Cannon for putting on for the community. But in addition, just excited to see people, and would love this to be a big, get together event for Pistons Twitter.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big week as well for Woodward Pistons. We're going to be debuting some shows. We're going to be launching some other cool content as well, man. Sean, I told the people we're going to keep it under wraps a little bit, and we're just going to drop it on their heads at one time, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Money Train James. Hey, always one of the regulars in the comments, man. I'm hoping that you're one of the people that we see out there. We're going to try to have some of our other Woodward Sports personalities and whatnot there as well. We got Mr. Bay Dune. I'm hoping he's going to be there. I want him to be there, man.
By the way, Kool-Aid, can I say one more thing before we go off live? Am I the only one hovering Shams' Twitter like a hawk? I'm like, this guy can break who's getting drafted in the NFL draft. He can tell me that Bryce Young's going #1 overall, but you can't tell me any updates on the Pistons coaching search yet.
Bro, he told me I was gonna have Raisin Bran this morning, and I had it. Like Shams is just he's amazing, bro. Like the things he's able to do, I don't quite understand it, but he is amazing. And I'm waiting for this coaching search, man. I'm waiting for that Shams reporting, and then it's just there. So we exactly know what this squad is doing, man. I can't wait.
It's crazy, man. Like I remember, I think he even broke the news of who won the general election a couple years ago. Like this guy's I don't did Shams sell his soul to somebody? Like I would genuinely love to know how he got all these connections. It's insane to me. But yeah, it feels like any day now we could be getting the announcement of who our new head coach is. And it's crazy, man. I'm just excited to dive into it and talk about it. I just want to know.
I'm so ready because it means so much to where this squad is headed, man. Like, the right coach, you kind of know what their game plan is. You know what their philosophy is going to be. You know exactly how they utilize certain types of players. I do believe that there's something to Chris Middleton's game and shades of what Cade Cunningham can add to his game. We don't know what types of lineups they're going to run, though we know Cade Cunningham is the guy who's going to start with the ball in his hands. Are we saying that we don't want to see lineups where he might play the 2 or the 3?
Right, that's the beauty of it. You can put him anywhere you need to.
Hey man, we got some of the regulars in here, man. Shout out to Mr. Jones. He's been one of the kind of foremost and top supporters. I'm glad for the content that we're making and the new content that's on the way, so that guys like him who are always kind of supporting and putting on for us, we can begin to really, really put on for you as well. So definitely shout out. And May 16th, man, we're gonna have some fun. With the NBA Draft Lottery Show, with the coaching search update. Is there a candidate at this point in time, Sean, that sticks out to you? I believe that there are candidates that have made, as I've continued to kind of do some research and digging, that have become a little bit more impressive. I don't know if they've necessarily jumped up the charts, but Kevin Ollie, I believe, is somebody that deserves a little bit more respect than given. But obviously, I feel like Chris Quinn, I didn't really want him to just kind of fall off the radar. I didn't want that to happen. I love what he could bring to the table from an offensive standpoint.
Right.
But a lot of the guys that they are looking at, what's key in their background is player development and defense. But I wanted to get your take on the guys that are at the top, as well as is there a candidate that you that you wish was kind of in that top 3?
Yeah. So, I think, first of all, I think real quick to say, I know a lot of people freaked out when Ime Udoka was not named the next coach of the Detroit Pistons. And I know
Shock
a
and
lot of
awe.
I
Shock and
like
awe.
and I know a lot of people want us to go for like the proven names and are like, what? Like, but the reality of it is, like, first of all, Ime Udoka, his proven track record is only one season. So we have no idea in the long term, like he granted, perhaps the best debut season a head coach has ever had, but
Mhm.
at the same time, you know, it's a little bit of a different situation in Houston than it is in Boston. But as far as the guys that like we have, like for me, I keep circling back to Charles Lee and Jaron Collins in particular. Like Kevin Ollie, like you said, he definitely deserves his respect, and his resume is unique. And I think from a leadership standpoint, he brings a lot of those, like really great qualities. But I think Charles Lee and Jaron Collins bring those things in a similar light. But I think, like the fact that Jaron Collins in particular, he's been such a vital, piece of, he was effectively the defensive coordinator of the Warriors dynasty, but also a big part of the Pelicans improving in their defense over the last couple of years as well. A guy who's been under Steve Kerr and Willie Green, like he just, a guy who played in this league, like he just, seems like a guy who isn't overwhelmed by situations, just like the fact that like he's a guy that came in and like initially wasn't on their list but like has blown people away. Like he's a guy that like the more I've searched into him, I've been blown away myself. And Charles Lee as well is just another solid candidate, and he does bring that youth. I think Collins might have a little more experience and perhaps a little bit more of an impressive resume, but I think Charles Lee does bring a lot of great qualities. And reality of it is these are the top of the top as far as like, like first time coaching candidates. So any of the guys that we hire, it's going to be a great move for the organization, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think they can't go wrong with that top 3.
Yeah. Now look, and you know what? You said a candidate to me that really has kind of creeped up to being one of my favorites. And Mr. Papega Jones, he just mentioned him too. Jaron Collins. The more and more that I looked into him, all the things that excited us about Charles Lee, save for the youth aspect, because Jaron Collins is a little bit older. I feel like Jaron Collins has a little bit more, a little bit longer in the tooth. He has a little bit more experience as it relates to those championship runs that we talk about. Charles Lee has one with the Bucks. Jaron Collins got 3 with the Warriors. He did learn underneath Steve Kerr. He did learn underneath several other aspects of basketball during his playing days as well. And we know what type of player Jaron Collins was. Very rough and tumble, rebound, kind of, it's not the guy that you're trying to pick the fight with. So when I look at Jaron Collins from those angles and then what he's meant to Willie Green's staff. Now, Willie Green's a coach that I covet, bro. If there was a way for the Pistons to just snag Willie Green right now in this thing already, I'd be straight. But the fact that now he gets to learn underneath him, I'm just like, you know what? I like that. What the Pelicans have done, I never really took them serious. But since he's kind of been there, I've kind of been like, take these guys a little bit more serious.
They've been a top 5, top 10 defense ever since he's gotten there. Not just because of the personnel, but because of the discipline that he's helped bring to that team. It's like, it's Willie Green and his staff. It's just been, and to your point, like if you can't go get a Willie Green, go get one of his guys. And again, not to dismiss, Charles Lee either, because again,
No,
his resume is great. And if you listen to both of these guys, like talk about, there's just interviews that you can go search and find of both of these guys. And it's just the way that they talk about their players, the way that they talk about their relationships, but also just, their views on life in the game of basketball. Like, in my opinion, like both of these guys are great candidates to lead this Pistons team going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look, man. I'm glad to have you on. This was awesome.
It's
It's
good to
always
see
good
you,
when we do
man.
content, bro. It's always good. I can't wait. I know what we're Pistons week is going to be dope. We're going to start off with the NBA draft lottery. We're going to end it with the Ashton and Cannon's 3-on-3 ranked management 3-on-3 tournament. I can't wait. It's going to be a dope time. We're going to be planning a lot of different live events here and there. So I want to see everybody out, man. As many people that can come out and rock with us. I definitely want to be able to do that. I definitely do. What do you think of Chris Quinn? Just before we go, I've seen his name pop up a couple times, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on him, offensively, defensively. I know it's putting you on the spot.
Yeah. No, I think Chris Quinn is a is a solid candidate, especially, you look at, the Miami Heat, the Heat culture, that the way that coaching staff in particular, like Eric Spoelstra, in my opinion, just watching these playoffs so far, like he's just been lapping the other coaches he's been against. And these are like the 30 best coaches in the world, right? Like he up against Mike Budenholzer. And it's like, and like in part, and that's not just because of Eric Spoelstra, like that's because of the Heat culture, the Heat organization. So, I definitely think Chris Quinn is a guy
Mm.
that, that should be in, that definitely should be in the mix. Now, the reality of it is, like we do know the early top 3 candidates and the guys that have impressed in particular thus far. I think the reality of it is, and I think an important thing to consider is, like as much as I know about Chris Quinn, there's also a lot that we don't know about these coaches. Like a lot of it
Mhm.
is, a lot of the work that assistant coaches do, a lot of the things that make these guys qualified are the things that we don't see. So as far as, like I would I like to see him, like be mentioned in the process? Would I like to see him get like an in-person interview? Absolutely. Like, but at the same time, I'm going to defer and trust, like the judgment of, of the organization on this front, because, as far as knowing who's a great coach, a lot of that comes down to interpersonal communication, talks with executives throughout the league. The reality of it is, like, I think, like he's another great candidate, but like the thing about it is, this
Mhm.
is a pretty loaded list of, qualified candidates.
Yes, sir. And as always, Sean Murphy bringing it. I put him on the spot with that one. I really put him on the spot with this whole episode. We were going to go live today. I was like, you know what? Let's get Sean Murphy in here so we can really start to flex these chops. I mean, for real, the content's going to start dropping soon. We're working on things here behind the scenes to make sure all of it can work without a hitch. It's a lot of moving parts. I'm telling you, especially when we're dealing with people who living, in different places, different areas, different work schedules, but the grind is about being able to get in front of this camera and be able to do this stuff with each other in terms of the Pistons content and be able to interact with the fans, the followers, our friends, really our Woodward Pistons family. It's all of us. So I'm grateful for it. Am I hooping MTJ Money Train James? I wanted to. You guys know on Saturday, just based on biblical observance, my belief, I refrain from certain work and certain activities on Saturday, 7th day of the week. But
But
I
every
use
other
that
day of
time.
the week, he's hooping in his
I'm
city.
hooping.
Yeah.
I'm hooping. I'm telling you guys, look, we're trying to work on something right now, and I appreciate Sean, bro. We're trying to work on something now, a Woodward Pistons Invitational, either the day before or the day after. So I will be hooping in that. I definitely will be hooping in that. And I'm telling you guys, the voice, our golden voice of Woodward Pistons Hero League ball, that's on the way. We're getting a hoop league together, linking up with Gus Weaver of the 313 Life brand. Shout out to him, man. He's been doing a lot with Lindsey Hunter and those hoop sessions and hoop runs out in Canton and such.
Shout
And we're
out
gonna be
Lindsey
getting some
Hunter.
stuff going. We're gonna be incorporating Jalen, but the golden voice, though, that's gonna be making sure you guys understand what's going on in these streams. Is a man right here, Sean Murphy. I look forward to it. I really do. He is our Woodward Pistons Hero Ball League, George Blaha, and it's gonna be an invitational league as well. We're gonna start off with just a tournament first. Just come out and run. I'll get some people acclimated, and then we're gonna have a full on league. It's gonna be drafts. It's gonna be streamed. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be trades. It's gonna be a dope experience, and we're hoping that we could turn up this summer with you all. Sean, man, any words before we sign off?
Just want to say thank y'all for tuning in and supporting. We appreciate all the, continued support that we get. Just gonna, you know,
Yeah, I was like, yo,
oh,
let's
you
let
best
Sean up real quick.
oh, you best believe we'll get that Mason introduction going, Jalen. Don't you worry. But yeah, man, just like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content coming up. But also just be sure that you're tuned in because we have been slowing down a little bit with the off season, but now things are going to start gearing up again in full gear. So with once we get that head coaching announcement, once we know where we're going and where we're drafting in the lottery, a lot of things are going to start moving real quick, and I'm excited to cover it.
Ooh, man, bro. I can't wait. Just a little bit longer. The whole
Yeah,
team is gonna be together. The whole crew is gonna be together.
it's going to
And
be
it's gonna
great.
be
I'm
live.
hyped.
I can't wait. Like y'all don't understand, bro. Like we really love each other as family in this thing. We've supported each other a lot. I looked up and now it's like 2.5 years since I've been with Uber Sports. Um, really our first season covering the Pistons officially. And it's felt like family, really. There's a lot of people I can't wait to meet, and I can't wait to get my bros, Jeff, obviously, and Sean. Sean is all the way out in Grand Rapids. Y'all don't get it. We keep in touch as much as we can. We support each other, and we really care about each other's personal lives. So I can't wait, man. I dig it all.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
rock
just
out,
excited to
man.
get back out to Detroit again, man. It's going to be a great time to be out there with my boys and with the crew, and it's going to be great, man.
Yeah, I can't. I'm looking forward to it. But look, hey, y'all come on out when the invitational drops. We're gonna definitely say some stuff about it on our show. So those that are on the show, those who tap in, y'all get all the details, and then we'll also send out invites to those in the media as well. We'll try and get some other people out there. Maybe I can get Kuka Hill out there. If y'all follow these people, y'all go out there and let them know that weekend we're trying to get some run in. But like Kuka Hill, Eli Bashi, it's just anybody out there that says that they can hoop, man. Let's try and get it in. I think it's gonna be a fun time. But look, I had fun today. We're gonna be definitely bringing our personalities onto the screen a lot more. Try and make sure the breaking news is covered. Try and make sure that any of the news is covered. And then at the end of it, just try and make sure that we're having fun together, man. Try and preach and push that positivity. And Sean, bro, love you, Brody. Till next time, you all definitely. Oh, you know what? No. Come on.
When is this outro gonna end? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, man. No.
Hey,
Click the end button,
the Dillon Brooks of it all.